Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Spiritual Awakening 101. My name is Jerry Yakov, and I'm your host. I'm also a teacher of A Course in Miracles, as well as a serious student of A Course in Miracles. A Course in Miracles is a channeled work of wisdom that was first published in 1976. It was channeled by a woman named Helen Schucman, who was a clinical psychologist in New York City. And the importance of A Course in Miracles can never be underestimated. For those that have read the Course and accepted it as their journey back to a spiritual awakening, I'm preaching to the choir. For those of you that may be new to the Course in Miracles, I highly suggest that you check it out online or Google it and get yourself a copy of A Course in Miracles. It has three parts, basically. There's the text, there are 365 workbook lessons, and then there's a manual for teachers. Those are the three main portions or parts of A Course in Miracles. I've selected for today's episode one of the workbook lessons. As I said, there are 365 of them, one for each day of the year. This is lesson 189. I'll be reading portions of this workbook lesson and then commenting as appropriate, I hope, and as meaningful as I hope it can be for you as well. This lesson, 189, is titled, I Feel the Love of God Within Me Now. Well, I'll just comment briefly on the title. Feeling the love of God within me now is a situational or positional statement in the mind. It's a position of trust. It's a position of Christ itself and awareness. It has nothing to do with the world. It has nothing to do with circumstances. It's a decision that we make to look within our minds, that abstract spatial identity of soul or mind, and say to ourselves, I feel the love of God within me now, in my soul, in my spirit, in my mind, in my Christed consciousness. And this is the truth. And as we say it, we affirm it, and it becomes more and more real, both in our ideas and in our languaging and in our behavior and interaction with other people, and at some mystical or metaphysical level, which is ununderstandable to us in our finite understanding of the infinite. Nonetheless, it's a miracle, and it is true to feel the love of God within me now. Love is an energy at the level of the world and the body. It can almost be measured. There are aura detections. There are light detections. There are emotional detections. There are brainwave detections that indicate that the love of God is within me now. All of this is true. However, at another level, which cannot be measured energetically in time and space, there is an identification, and that is bliss, a sense of knowing, a sense of being at home, a sense of security, of ultimate happiness and fulfillment that passes all understanding. This is regardless of situational circumstances, interpersonal relationships. All of those may be challenging, but I feel a peace. And I feel a peace because I'm centered in the Christ consciousness of my soul. Well, let's go on with the reading. There is a light in you the world can not perceive, and with its eyes you will not see the light, for you are blinded by the world. Well, what it's saying here is that the love of God is not a function of the world. The love of God may be referred to as the source of a world, but not in the world itself. We're all familiar with the expression, I'm in the world, but not of the world. So, what are we of then, if not of the world? Well, we're of a space and a timeless identification as pure knowledge, pure soul, pure wisdom, pure beginninglessness and endlessness. And this is not known in the world itself, because in the world of form, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. There's a name for things. Well, this is the great nameless I am. And then there's an underlying knowledge with a capital K. Knowledge is the essence, I think, of the love that we are. We can point at it, we can experience it, we can declare it, but it's definitely not definable in worldly terms. And that's what it's saying here. There's a light in you the world cannot perceive. And with its eyes, you will not see the light. That would be with the body's eyes. You don't see it, it's not measurable, for you are blinded by the world. Well, the world is not a place of love. The world is definitely a place of false identification as a separate ego, separate identification aside from God, apart from God. And what we're discovering in our journey back home is that all that is false and nothing unreal can exist. So it's a dream. The dream of the world cannot hold and does not have the infinitude to hold all that love is and all that God is. God is the context. God is the expansiveness within which worlds, dimensions, universes may, in our minds, exist. But it's certainly greater than the falsity of a content of a dream. A dream, of course, is false. It's an ideation that's projected into a form. Well, it says, who could feel fear in such a world as this? It welcomes you, and now it's talking about the love of God, rejoices that you came, and sings your praises, and as it keeps you safe from every form of danger and of pain. We can rely on the infinitude of the Christ consciousness, of the infinitude of the love of God. This is something that we can rely on, place our faith and our trust in. And of course, as an outward expression, everything then is consistent with the light and the love. But it's an inner condition, inner not in the body or the brain, but in the mind of all universes, all constructs, all sourcefulness. There is only one, and that is the Ein Sof, the beginningless and the endless. It's also of the nature of guiltlessness and defenselessness. There's nothing to defend. There's nothing to feel guilty about, because separation from God is a false idea. So there's nothing really to say except that I'm invulnerable. I am as God created me. I am the love that God is. I am the Christ nature. Are these bold statements of egocentricity? No, it's not that at all. It's grandeur. Grandeur is distinguishable from grandiosity. Someone who's grandiose is boasting that I'm special and you're not. I'm incomparable and you're comparable. Comparable to what? To those that aren't special. I'm special. Now, this is a grandeur that includes everybody and everything with nothing left out. Again, it's beyond the everyday measurement of the human mind, the finite mind, the ego mind. The ego mind can't comprehend the oneness with everything that we are. And that's the nature of our dream in the world, that we are a cog, let us say, in a big wheel of life. Well, we're not a cog. We're the entirety of the wheel. We're the space in which the wheel itself exists, because there's so much more. And there's so much more, and then there's so much more. This goes way beyond what we can comprehend with the finite mind. but it can be understood at the level of relationships. And I want to focus on that particularly in this episode. In the measurement, in the experience of relationships, we know the love that is within us, and that's the love of God. How do we know this? Because after all is said and done, I know that I love my children. I know that I love my wife. I know that I love my God. I know that I love my true self. I know that I love my neighbor. These are all truths that cannot be challenged when I'm clear, when I'm lucid, when I'm in connected, uh, mindfulness, when there's a discernment of the truth within me that has set me free. I am simply in love, and I'm lovable, and I'm loving. That is the nature of it. It's a word, and it describes that which is undefinable. But the truth is simply the truth, and it can never be threatened. And it's nothing that we need to seek. It's nothing that we need to, in any way, try to become. It is our very essence. And it's difficult to see one's own back or the inside of our own eyes or our own faces for that matter. We can't see them. And yet we know that we have a face, that we have a back, that there's the inside of our eyes. And so, just using the metaphor of the body, of course, this is true. And it's true at a level that leads us then to greater truths and greater truths. And the greater truth is that there's a sourcefulness behind all of that which even I can't see but know exists. And that's the love of God that's within me. This is the truth, and I want to carry it. I want to extend it, and I want to share it. Once I know that I have that through the idea that I can forgive everything, for my brothers and sisters know not what they're doing, and neither do I when I'm in a mistaken frame of mind and I feel that I'm resentful or envious or have grievances. But when I let those grievances and envies go, and I rely on the Christ itself as my identity and true creation as God, then I know that I am the love that God is within me. That is my true nature. That's why the golden rule says, love thy neighbor as thyself, because that's the ultimate truth. Love your God with all your heart and your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. Well, it says this is the world the love of God reveals that we've been talking about. It is so different from the world you see through darkened ego eyes of malice and fear that one belies the other. Only one can be perceived at all. The other one is wholly meaningless. A world in which forgiveness shines on everything and peace offers its gentle light to everyone is inconceivable to those who see a world of hatred rising from attack, poised to avenge, to murder and destroy. Well, think about the current situation that we're living in. This is being videoed in July, the end of the month in 2020. We're going through a very challenging time at the level of the world and the body. But these are lessons that God would have us learn, and that's that there's no hierarchy of illusions. If there's a challenge, and I'll grant you that to our finite ego minds, there seems to be challenges galore. What they can serve as is building blocks or stepping stones away from or out of the dream to an awakened state where we no longer feel fearful, resentful, vengeful, and seeking to murder and destroy each other, or that there are murderous elements and stimuli outside of us in the form of viruses that can attack our bodies, which is not our true identity in any case. There is no body. The Son of God is free. The Son of God is a soul. The Son of God is Spirit of Christ. Then we experience ourselves as bodies only temporarily and only with a definable purpose, and that is to reawaken and remember ourselves as the Christed Spirit. So everything that we see with the body's eyes can be reframed, if you will, in the context of, this is another opportunity to remember the Christ itself before me. This is an opportunity to remember the Christ itself that I am within me. This is an opportunity. This is a classroom. These are lessons that God would have me learn for my ultimate freedom from samsara, from suffering, from the wheel of life of birth, suffering, and death. There's got to be something greater than that, because God would not create or put his Son in a position of limited experience of birth, suffering, and death. We are made in the likeness and image of our Creator, which is infinite, and infinite and pure love and light and illumination is not of this world. So it says, yet is the world of hatred equally unseen and inconceivable to those who feels God love in them. But when I'm in my right mind, then I do not experience the hatred and the fear. They are mutually exclusive states of mind. You can't entertain two diverse thoughts at the same instant. There's only the thought of either ego fear, or the thought of spiritual love. And I am empowered with the decision-making power, freedom of will, to decide which one I align with. And I align with the spiritual love that's within me now. I feel the love of God within me now. And in this moment, I'm connected. And I cannot experience its seeming opposite, which is egoic fear, or hatred, or jealousy, or separation. What would you see? The choice is given you. But learn and do not let your mind forget this law of seeing. You will look upon that which you feel within. You will look upon that which you feel within. If hatred finds a place within your heart, you will perceive a fearful world, held cruelly in death's sharp, pointed, bony fingers. If you feel the love of God within you, and by that making that decision, making that affirmative, declarative statement, I feel the love of God within me now, then you will look out on a world of mercy and of love. Well, why is this so? Because as a man thinketh, so is it done unto him. So my thinking defines my perception. Perceptions do not define my thinking. If I believe it, I see it, not the reverse, where if I see it, then I'll believe it. No, I believe it first, and then I see it on the perceptive level. Thoughts become then manifestations and demonstrable. So that leaves me to conclude that there is no reality in what is manifested and demonstrable, except there is the reality of the thought of the love of God within me now. That is real. Because if I can just change my mind and then see something different, if I change to the ego fear and hatred and separation thinking, then I'm going to see a reflection outside of me that's different. So anything that's different and changes depending on my thinking has got to be unreal and doesn't exist. But the thinking, that has a substance, that has a reality in Christedness. Now, the egoic thinking is not real. It can't be. It can't be because it's based on an insane thought of separation from God. And back to the title of our workbook lesson, I feel the love of God within me now. That is the substantive truth. And from that truth, I am set free. Perfect love casts out all fear. And anything that can be cast out and eliminated or corrected never existed really in the first place, except in my imagination. And I indulged in those imaginings of fear. I like the acronym for fear, false evidence appearing real. These are appearances. They are not reality. Well, let's go on with the reading a little bit here as we begin to wind down in this episode. It says, simply do this: be still and lay aside all thoughts of what you are and what God is, all concepts you have learned about the world, all images you hold about yourself. Empty your mind of everything it thinks is either true or false, good or bad, of every thought it judges worthy, and all the ideas of which it is ashamed. Hold on to nothing. Do not bring with you one thought the past has taught, nor one belief you ever learned before from anything. And here's the famous line from A Course in Miracles: forget this world, forget this course, and come with wholly empty hands unto your God. Well, wouldn't this be the ultimate state of contemplative meditation, of introspection? I come to God with wholly open hands, released from all my ideas, that I can identify what is, and I leave it to the hands of God, placing myself within the great mind of the Source, placing myself with fearlessness and with true love in the hands of my loving Father, Mother, Creator. And this is the truth. This is the teaching of all the mystics and the prophets and the desert fathers and all of the gurus and advanced teachers and those who are non-physical teachers who have come to help us in our journey. It's a journey that is distanceless, because again, it's not measured in terms of time and space or in the worldly measurements. It's distanceless. And it's a journey with a goal or destination that's never changed, because it's timeless, it's eternal, it's always the Christ itself. It's always the love of God within us now. This is the truth, and it sets us free. There's no fear. There's nothing to fear. We simply let go. We let go of all that we ever thought we'd learn through our own experiences, through our own teachings of ourselves by experience, from listening to other ego minds and their fearful dreams. All of these things we let go of. And we can decide to do that with practice. And of course, undergirding that is the forgiveness. I forgive myself for my false mistakes. I forgive myself for my thoughts of attack, either from others or my thoughts of attacking others. I let go and I let God. I remember and I make amends. I'm sorry. I've referred to Ho'oponopono, the Hawaiian slogan that says, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. And that's the truth. I feel the love of God within me now. Ho'oponopono. Namaste, the universal greeting of peace and love. Again, I recognize the love of God within me, and it recognizes the love of God and your identity as love within you. These are all truths that we carry with us and we can practice throughout our day and within each moment. Holy instant. I like the idea of a holy instant because it's beyond the illusory nature of time. The holy instant is really a succession, and not even a succession linearly, but in a more vertical or spiral. It's an example of the always now, love, present moment, holy instant, now, rising up, always going up to the level of salvific experience, atonement, redemption, experiencing the resurrection. These are all examples of feeling the love of God within me now. When I feel that, I'm resurrected in truth, and I know the Spirit of Christ is within me, as me, for me, through me. Well, again, we'll finish up this with a prayer. It's so beautiful. Father, we do not know the way to you, but we have called and you have answered us. We will not interfere. Salvation's ways are not our own, for they belong to you, and it is unto you we look for them. Our hands are open to receive your gifts. We have no thoughts we think apart from you, and cherish no beliefs of what we are or who created us. Yours is the way that we would find and follow. And we ask but that your will, which is our own as well, be done in us and in the world, that it become a part of heaven now. Amen. Well, again, this is lesson 189. I feel the love of God within me now from A Course in Miracles. This is my well-worn copy of the book. I urge anyone and everybody to check it out. It's one of many, of course. There are thousands of paths back to the peace of God and to the nature of man. We know this. Some may be more resonant with you than others. Some might be calling your name. Some might be designated in the great ideation of your existence specifically for you. I found that A Course in Miracles floats my boat like no other wisdom path. But be that as it may, I'm very privileged to be able to make these episodes, these videos for the NECAT network. I'm grateful for NECAT. I'm grateful to my editor and videographer who edits my work, Candace Adelson, my dear spouse and soulmate. Candace, thank you so much. I love you with all my heart. And I love you, my neighbor. I love you, my brother and my sister. And I love myself in a love that is not egoic. I love myself in a way that is expansive, inclusive of everybody, so that we're all really indistinguishable in the Christ. I've checked my ego at the door when I practice my connectedness with God and the love of God I feel within me. That is the truth. And I know that you have checked your ego at the door when you see the truth and the light in my eyes, and I see the truth and the light in your eyes. And it's love. It's pure and it's magnificent. And it's beyond our understanding, as I had said earlier in this segment. But back to the thank yous. You know that gratitude is an example of exactly what we're talking about. When we are supremely thankful and grateful just for the next breath, just for the next thing that I see that is illuminated by the light that's behind it, it is the love that God is. I know, and I know that I know that I am eternal. I'm immortal. I'm the soul that God created, speaking to you as the soul that God created. And this is such a privilege, such a holiness. So deeply grateful am I and thankful. And so, as we typically say, we'll see you next time. Shalom, peace, namaste, and God bless everybody. Thank you.